Hey, Gary here. Welcome to Book Mob episode 82. Today I'm talking about culling books, getting rid of books, throwing away books, or donating these books to somewhere else, to Goodwill or St. Vinny's, or putting them in garden libraries. It's very hard to get rid of books that you like, and even getting rid of books you've paid for and you didn't like and you didn't enjoy, or perhaps you didn't finish. But I think it's an essential part of a reader's library to make sure that what you have is what you want. And when it comes to space, and if you move, as in move residences, like I do quite a few times every couple of years, the less books you have, the easier the transition is. Now, if you have the luxury of having one place to live, I guess you could turn almost any room into an entire library. But I think most people do understand that you've got to cull your collection because it is a collection that usually is made up of books that you enjoy, that you value, that you think are worth keeping. So, I have found 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 books. I just went through my collection this week, and these are the 12 books I'm going to get rid of. I've decided that I'm going to get rid of most of them by going to garden libraries and just putting them in the shelves. But I don't want to spread books that no one will read. Some of them are going to go straight to the tip, but that's just the way life is. All right, so my first book, Gene Wolfe, The Fifth Head of Cerberus. Now, the reason I got rid of this book is because I started reading it and it just didn't gel with me. I put it down, tried to read it again, and it just didn't come to me. Now, I could keep this book, and unfortunately in 5 years or 10 years' time, I go, I wish I never threw that book away. But that's the risk. That's what you're doing. I'm making space for something else. So Gene Wolfe, The Fifth Head of Cerberus. See you later. This book, A for Andromeda by Fred Hoyle and John Elliott, I found in a garden library where I had the fortunate experience that there were a couple of other books written in the 50s and 60s, original publications that I did enjoy, and I read them. So I think I picked up about 5 books on this particular day, and this was the one that I just could not get into. So that's that book. See you later. Okay, London, an Illustrated Literary Companion. Now, that would seem like a valuable keepsake for any writer or a reader of literature, but I just found the references so obscure that I figured that you'd have to be a don of literature at Cambridge to understand many of the cultural and social references that they chose to include in this collection, because I've noticed that it's not just London. There's Paris, an Illustrated Literary Companion. There's a what else is there? German Illustrated Literary Companion. But I must admit, I tried very hard to finish it, and I just couldn't get it. I started reading this in December last year, and I kept putting it down, and unfortunately, it didn't make my day. So London, an Illustrated Literary Companion. Ross MacDonald, Sleeping Beauty. This was another garden library book that I took not knowing anything about the author, because I liked the cover. I thought it was going to be a hard-boiled detective mystery. Started reading it, and I just, again, couldn't get into it. And I'll return this to the same garden library that I found it. So, Ross MacDonald, Sleeping Beauty. See you later, mate. Oh, this is a difficult one. Dan Simmons, Olympus. Now, I read Ilium, which is the first volume in this collection. But again, I don't know what happened. I read Ilium. I loved it. I went through the entire book. It's the same chunky book as this, but how far did I get with this? 209 pages. I just did not know what I was reading. It was like reading words, but not having any idea of what the story was, where it was going, who was who, just multiple characters, multiple experiences. And at the end of the day, I just went, give it away, because it wasn't enjoyable, it wasn't entertaining, and it just sucked my hours dry. So Dan, on this one, see you later, mate. And here we go again, another Dan Simmons. I read Hyperion, which I kind of liked. It was a difficult read. And now this one's called The Fall of Hyperion. Again, I have no idea what the story's about. I couldn't grasp the narrative. It just seems so out of touch with the original, the book Hyperion. And I mean, I can see how people would enjoy this. I can. But for me, it was so unentertaining. It was laborious, and I thought I gave it away. How far did I get with this? Hold on, I've got it around here somewhere. I got 224, which is almost halfway, but see you later. I don't know why I bought this. And Middleton, some bloke is going to be run for Mayor of London in the next couple of years. This is just one of those how-to books, how to be top and how to be tough and how to get your shit together. I think I got bored within fucking 20 pages. The Low Carb Kitchen. Excuse me. Low Carb Kitchen. Again, we went through a period where I thought, I'll do some healthy cooking. But then again, I look at this and I go, I can't cook this shit. I don't have the tools. I don't have the stove. I don't have the means. So, see you later. 150 great recipes. Yeah, whatever. Okay, I'm a big fan of Arkady and Boris Draginsky. The Snail on the Slope is certainly not a book that I could keep reading because it was just absolutely boring. Now, I've read quite a few books by these two blokes, and I've enjoyed them, but this one, I just couldn't get through. It just sucked the life out of me while I was reading it because, I don't know, I guess that's the whole thing with choice, isn't it? Anyway, see you later, boys. Olaf Stapleton, The Last and First Men. Again, I think it was written in, let me look at the date when it was originally written. First published, I don't know, it wasn't then. Anyway, it was published a long time ago. I got to page 116. Couldn't go on with it. Waste of time. I didn't love it. It didn't grip me. It was a labour. Tough to read. No entertainment value for me. Remember, these are books that I chose to read, not that they aren't worthy of reading. But this one, see you later, boys. David, Monument Maker. Again, I really had high hopes of this. I had never heard of David Keenan. I'm sure he's very well known. I'm sure he's intellectual and well regarded by many people. But this Monument Maker is just, again, you need to have a PhD in fucking English literature and social and cultural sort of nuances in order to be able to enjoy the speculation, the ideas. And I tried and I tried. Where did I go? I went up to, no, not there, page 90, hold on. Yeah, 201. Sorry, mate. It was good, but not good enough. And finally, The Crow Girl by Eric Axel Sund. Now, I got this book from my therapist who said, hey, here's a book you might like, Gary. And I went, oh, okay. I usually don't like reading books recommended to me, even though that's what the whole point of this channel is, because I guess I think I know what I like and I know what I would consider worthy of reading. I know it's stinks of hypocrisy. Anyway, The Crow Girl, it's such a fucking depressing book. And I got quite far into this book and I just couldn't take it. How far did I get? Did I even bother? I don't think I even bothered. Oh, here we go. According to this book, I said at 11:59 a.m. on the 29th of the 9th, 2024, I wrote, "What the fuck is going on?" Meaning, I had no idea what was going on. The story was just, it's about child murder, and it was so difficult to continue because it's so repressive. And the story ended at one point, and then it just keeps going. You know, we get it. But no, not for me. If you want to read it, it might be in the Eastwood 7 Ways Garden Library tomorrow or the next day. But great idea, but really, really just drains your fucking spirit. And like I said, I actually got to a point in the book where I thought it was finished, but it was just more. Anyway, see you later, mate. All right, so those are the books that I've culled, and I'm thinking about culling some more. But before that, what am I doing? Just finished James Herbert's Ash. This is his last book. Boy, what a book. If you want a book where someone, I think this is back in 2013, who wrote a book about what he thinks about the intelligentsia, what he thinks about the Illuminati, what he thinks about the what do they call it? The inner sanctum of people controlling the world. Well, this book is written for you. Really good, exciting, a massive read. How many pages? Nearly 700 pages. I loved it. Couldn't get enough of it. I'm loving James Herbert. This is my 4th or 5th James Herbert this year. Just finished Paul Bowles' A Sheltering Sky. What a fucking great novel. If you want a novel about nothing and the brilliance of having the comfort to experience nothing, then this is the novel for you. 2 really despicable characters who are just so luxurious and have everything in the world they don't want. And then they realize it's nothing that I need. And it's their self-destruction. Paul Bowles, A Sheltering Sky, and it's my second read. Great novel. And I'm just about halfway through another James Herbert novel, Portent, which is about climate change. And it's about what is Mother Earth doing about it. So far it's been a fun read. Not my favourite James Herbert novel of all the others that I've read, but it's still a fun read. And finally, hopefully this week, I'll be starting Mary Penfold by Grantley Keyser. Is it Keyser? And this guy is Australia's, I guess he writes great historical literature in a narrative that's enjoyment, that's engaging, that's entertaining. And I have read many of his books, love them, and I know nothing about Penfold's wine, but I guess I'll find out once I read Mary Penfold by Grantley Keyser. Great Australian historian. He has written some fantastic books. I've got him over here. He wrote one about Joseph Banks. He wrote one about Henry Lawson, Mr. and Mrs. Gould, and Matthew Flinders, the adventurer. And so this guy's got his pulse on popular entertaining history and well worthwhile. I know all these other books, I really love them. All right, that's it for Book Mob episode 82. Thanks for joining in. Remember, read some books, go to your bookshops and promote reading. Tell your kids to read, you read, and just to remember one thing. Read books!